It's time for Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny. From what's happening on the blue at Boise State to the Mountain West and beyond. The biggest storylines, the best guests, and most outlandish opinions from two dudes who eat, sleep, and breathe college football. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny, featuring former Boise State quarterback and longtime coach Mike Sanford and KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's Johnny Mallory on Bronco Nation News.
Season 1, Episode 8. Where does the season go? Welcome to another edition of Ball Talk. I'm Johnny Ballgame, my partner, former Boise State offensive coordinator, longtime coach Mike Sanford. Coach, lot to talk about. First and foremost, though, welcome. Monday nights, this is our favorite night. What's going on, man?
I just feel honored and privileged that you would choose to spend your time with me, with your beloved Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. And trust me, I'm going to be watching you closely. I'm going to watch your eyes to make sure you're making eye contact with that camera for the next 57 minutes.
It's going to be a challenge. There's just no way I could send BJ that text and say, hey, you want to cover Ball Talk with me tonight with Sanford, not with everything going around this program right now. So obviously for everybody listening and viewing, get your listening. I'm a radio guy. Everybody watching this, get your text messages, your comments in, your questions for Coach Sanford. Just let us know if it's a question initially. Just type question, get them in. We'll do that mailbag segment. We're also going to hear Coach's mic drop. We'll talk about 2 quarterback systems because that's what Boise State has right now, getting ready for the San Jose State game on Saturday, and the impact at the transfer portal. This era, you bench a quarterback. What does that mean? Do parents get involved? Does the transfer portal come calling? So a lot of great stuff we're going to do tonight on Ball Talk. Appreciate you guys watching this program. Continue to spread the love for us. Tell people about it. Share it on social media. We greatly appreciate everybody joining to us. So with that, Coach, let's start. Boise State 2-3 on the year. They lose in the Liberty Bowl to Memphis 35-32. Coach, your thoughts on the loss?
Great start. Best start that I'd seen really in all 3 phases of the game. Really looking at an offense that was really efficient early on. Just moved the football. Defense was generating some pass rush. This Memphis team was, to be frank, was not very impressive looking through the first, really quarter and a half, 2 quarters. Didn't see that speed that I thought, that running back number 4, I thought that he was going to have a humongous impact on the game, and did in the second half. But I thought this first half, as I watched it, I was really encouraged by just seeing a complete performance in all 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. And then I saw more productivity from Taylon Green. TG10 ended up having 50-plus yards on the ground. That's been a secret, to their success, I think, dating back to the run where TG10 had a bunch of success in Mountain West Conference play in 2022. A lot of it on his feet, his legs churning. You saw a little bit of that Colin Kaepernick zone read with the escort, if you will, escort service kind of coming around the bend. A lot of the Kaepernick stuff we saw at Nevada and saw even with the 49ers when Greg Roman was calling the plays. So I love the start to the game, but it was a tale of two halves. And, I think the turning point, as we all know, was the blocked field goal. It's just an unfortunate turn of events, ended up being a 10-point swing. And, as we all saw, the momentum just jumped squarely on, the shoulders of Memphis from there on out. We didn't see that ability to just say, you know what, it's time to put this game away. Which, in their 2 losses against, I'd call really evenly matched teams in both UCF and Memphis. It's kind of a similar theme that we've seen in both those games, is just having the opportunity to really put game, set, match on top of the game. And it just didn't happen.
All right, let's get to the key and the key play. You mentioned the field goal block, the decision right before that. And you've been, the head coach. You've had to make the decisions probably too many times to count of when to go for it, when to kick it, weigh all the situations in play, field position, what quarter, how much time left, what you're doing, how your defense is playing, how your offense is playing. All those ingredients are going into that crock pot of a decision to make, Coach. Andy Avalos said he didn't get the look they wanted when they initially chose to go for it. Timeout happens there. We all saw that. And then they try to kick the field goal. What was your thoughts on the 4th and 1? And more specifically, you didn't get a look. I mean, you've coached some of the best running backs in college football. Isn't there another option? So that's all it takes to get Ashton Genty without having the football on 4th and 1 is just, hey, if we come up with this look, they're going to time out and they don't want to run it. So what's your thoughts on everything that went down with that? What we all thought was kind of the play, but the sequence certainly of that game.
Well, I'll start off by just being fully accountable to my own career. I've had plenty of decisions in my life as a coordinator and as a head coach where there's some head scratching moments. So I've learned a lot, touching the hot stove, and it's being in that situation is a lot different than watching it on TV. I can tell you that. And now that I'm actually having a chance to watch games on TV for the first time in really my whole life, it does, but you almost put yourself, like, it's so easy to make these decisions. One thing that I don't think anybody talks about, and from watching the press conferences today, both Andy Avalos and Bush Hamdan talking in their press conferences with regards to that situation, one thing that does happen in those situations, and it sounds inexcusable if you're a fan or if you're a donor, a booster, but it happens everywhere on every headset that I've ever been on, is there's chaos. There's a lot of people talking. There's the coordinators talking. There's the head coaches talking. You're trying to wait on maybe the head coach to make the decision. And then all of a sudden the offense coordinator is like, Coach, I love this call. Let's go with it. And then the head coach is like, are you sure? I'm sure. I don't know.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I wish. Yeah.
Because listen, I hate to say this, but we are humans. Coaches are humans. However, I mean, that's what we're paid to do. Right? That we're paid for those big moments. We're paid for those decisions. What I kind of read into comments today by Bush Hamdan was, he didn't love necessarily what was called right before the ball was snapped. Because I think he did say something along the lines in his press conference today. You were there. I watched it, on Bronco Nation News stream. Said something along the lines of, I got to be better, and just being very, either being confident and spitting it out that that's exactly what I want. And when a head coach is not the play caller on the offensive side of the ball, I think sometimes the head coach is like, all right, man, let's just bang a timeout here. Now, I'm going to put myself in fan mode. I'm going to put myself in alum mode, and I'm going to put myself in the mode of watching this game on TV, just like you are watching this Seattle Seahawks game right now on TV, young Johnny.
I'm not, man.
I'm going to put myself in this mode. And what I saw is that the indecisiveness of that moment, combined with using a timeout when this game was going to be going back and forth, and those timeouts are critical, that to me was more about the discussion, whether to go for the touchdown, go for the field goal. And then, of course, taking into play that, Memphis was starting to rip off some big explosive plays, and to go up 10 versus to go up 6, you go up 10 on the road, that's a momentum drive, you punch one in. There's a lot of different things that factor into it. And I, of course, me as an alum, me as a fan now watching on TV, I would have loved for them to get big, get into some type of jumbo personnel. And then, either either ram my man Genty up because that dude moves piles, or have a hard play action and allow TG10 to be able to get loose on the perimeter with some type of run throwing option.
In a typical game plan, I'll go for it, man. Finish up.
No, and I was actually gonna get a feed off what your question is. So go ahead. I didn't mean to
in a typical game on your sheet, play calling offensive coordinator, how many 4th and 1s do you typically have that you would feel comfortable in running?
Well, there's a lot that carry over as the season goes on. There's certain calls that you may have had in for, maybe a game plan, in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And they might not be against the exact same defensive front, but, if you have something that you truly believe in, like an identity. And, I think the Clydesdale package is something that at times has had a lot of success and at times it hasn't. And I think earlier in that game, ran the Clydesdale package. It was stuffed, if I'm not mistaken, the first quarter. And then great play action off it, sneak our man out there, and TG10 just slipped like on the action because he faked it so well.
Does that affect you think Callahan's a D tackle trying to make that catch? Did the slip? Yeah.
I think it's one of those where the slip kind of created a little bit more D lineman being in the end zone. And then all of a sudden it was a bang, bang play, and the ball got knocked out. But yeah, I think that there might have, at that point in time, the Clydesdale package was probably what they went in to the game with as the 4th and 1 on the goal line situation. That was what they wanted to go to. And really you've used, 2 of the bullets that you might have in that chamber. And that might have been the only 2 bullets that you did have that you had a lot of confidence in. And certainly if you've already used the play action, you're not coming back to it in that situation. So I've carried anywhere from 3 to 7 in a 4th and goal type of a scenario, 3 to 7 different calls. You'd love to have one that you really, really believe in. Kind of like the tush push right now with the Eagles. And
I love that call. Why doesn't every team in America run that? If you were coordinating or running an offense right now, is that your number one or close to it? 4th and 1, 4th and inches, goal line type of play. It seems like there's no defense for it if it's ran properly. Look at the good teams that run that. The Eagles come to mind. Jonathan Smith does a great job with it in Corvallis, especially last year when they had that jack of all trades player that was the guy that was pushing the quarterback up.
Yeah, what a stud he was.
That kid was tough, man. And I think they might have even put him at quarterback for that play too. But Andy, they don't run that here. If they have, they ran it once or something like that.
Well, one thing I will say, have you ever seen Jalen Hurts and how he's built from the waist down? That has a lot to do with why that's so good. And as you study the quarterback sneak play, I know it's something that's been around for 4 or 5 decades, right? It's nothing new. Probably was actually way back before then. If I was to ask my dad, I'd be like, "Hey, but Dad, back in the 1927, did you guys run the sneak at Long Beach State?" I hope you're not listening, Dad. But it's been around forever. But one thing, been studying the play, the best, how about this, in the 2000s to 2015 reign of the New England Patriots, by far the most effective team on 3rd and short, 4th and goal, 4th and inches, 3rd and inches, without question was the New England Patriots, and it was the QB sneak. And so I went and studied the QB sneak. I actually went to the Baltimore Ravens when I was working at Stanford, and John Harbaugh was a new head coach, and Jim Harbaugh sent me there to learn. And one of the things that we wanted was to have an identity on 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1. And from picking the Ravens, even John Harbaugh, talking to John back in 2006 or something like that, 2005, 2006. No, it was a little later than that, 7 and 8, 2007, 2008. And asking him and the staff there, Cam Cameron was the offensive coordinator, and had a really good staff to pick their brain. But I asked him about that play, and they said, Tom just has an incredible knack for it, understanding the defensive structure, the timing of when to just take that little micro step backwards. And Tom actually, and I think that this is what Jalen does, he actually drove his knee into the butt cheek of the center to get just that extra little push. And then he knew how to get skinny and fall to the side where there was maybe an absence of defense. And he was like 90 some odd %.
It's so crazy. Brady on 4th and 1, he's the greatest of all time. He's probably picked up more 4th and 1s than any player ever. Yeah, Hurts is terrific too.
And then this Jalen Hurts thing. But if it was so easy, why would not everybody in football be doing it? Because there's an art to it. Just like there's an art to, being able to make the throws that Pat Mahomes makes off schedule, even though yesterday it looked a little bit less like an art form and a little bit more like a silly play. He just, is terrible. Just some of the stuff he threw. And it's funny, me being the quarterback fundamental purist, I'm like, see, I told you, man, Pat Mahomes, when he doesn't play with great fundamentals, he throws a pick or he throws two. But of course, he then goes and throws unbelievable balls like behind his back and all this stuff.
That's amazing.
But, to your point, I think you carry, you want a tight package on fourth down. You want an identity. Like you said, Oregon State was fantastic last year with their fourth down package.
Let's go, Coach Sanford. We do this every week. We're starting her off. What do you have for us tonight, Coach? Let's get the mic drop.
All right. So I'm going to read off just a couple stats here. And, our good friend Jay Tust pointed these out. And here's the deal, right? I'm a former Bronco. I bleed blue, but more importantly, I care more about the relationships and friendships that I have. And some of those friendships and relationships are people that are taking the heat right now. I've been in that arena many times. I've been in that arena where people wanted my job, and sometimes decision makers ended up making those decisions. And trust me when I say it's not easy for your families, not easy for kids, but it does go with the territory, right? To whom much is given, much is expected. So I don't say these things with a light heart. I don't say these things selfishly for, my motives. Listen, I'm a member of the media. I'm a 14 and under softball coach here in Colorado. And for the first time in my life, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of my alma mater. I have a chance to watch everything. But these stats, I think, are telling. Just everyone wants to talk about Taylon Green. Everyone wants to talk about Mad Dog Madsen. That's what the entire narrative across Bronco Nation is right now. But in the two games that we've lost against very similar competition to who our roster is, and that's home against UCF. UCF has gone on as an 0-2 start in Big 12 play. Still haven't won a Big 12 conference game, albeit with an injured John Reese Plumlee. Thanks to his performance where he got dinged up here in Boise. And then, again, of course, against Memphis, who I think is going to end up being middle to upper middle of the pack, to be very honest. But looking at those two games, we've had two opportunities where the offense made a drive. In both cases, it was Mad Dog Madsen, right? And tip of the cap to Mad Dog, stepping in, making plays, playing fearlessly. Very impressed. But we've needed stops. We've needed stops in both those games. And the bottom line is that we live in a results-based industry, and we haven't gotten those stops. And so I'm going to go to some advice that I got from my dad. When my dad was working for me as the running back coach at Western Kentucky, I took over a program. It was sizzling hot. The year before I got there, Jeff Brom was the head coach, won a whole lot of games. The year before was an 11-win season, by far the best single season, not even close in WKU history. And, our roster was in a different spot than the year before. Jeff Brom built this roster largely due to junior college transfers, grad transfers. It was almost the precursor to the portal before the portal was actually a thing. And that was how he comprised the roster. I did it differently. I wanted to develop a program that brought in high school players, develop them. And because of that, we had a young team. That's the bottom line. We had a young team, and I named an offensive coordinator, a tremendous offensive coordinator, tremendous football mind, guy that I trusted a lot, in Junior Adams. Junior Adams is now the co-offensive coordinator for one of the best teams in college football at the Oregon Ducks. Junior and I worked together at Boise State on that 2014 staff. But what I did see, and my dad brought me up, he came into my office at one point in time, and he said, Mike, you can take this advice or not. I'm doing this out of love. I'm doing this as your dad right now, as not a coach. I want you to think about why you got this head job in the first place. Like, why did you get this head job? And I said, I think it's because of, what I did as an offensive coordinator, and what I did with my offensive background in developing quarterbacks. And my dad said, well, that would be your greatest team or greatest contribution, your greatest gift back to this program is to be able to take more of an active role as a play caller. And I thought about it. And to even think about, Coach Hawk and the way that was modeled, he brought in Chris Peterson to be his offensive coordinator. And then Chris Peterson hired Brian Harsin to be his offensive coordinator. And then Brian Harsin hired me to be his offensive coordinator. And obviously it goes on and on and on. But I thought about that, when you're in a rut And I think this defense is in a rut right now. I do. Man, that's the reality. He's calling a spade a spade. Take Washington game out of there. They're still been in a bit of a rut. And I think Spencer Danielson is a phenomenal coach. And I think he is a superstar. And I still do. I watched his press conference today and I love his accountability. I love his fire. I love his passion. And I love that he and Andy are working together. But one thing I do think, and this is one thing I did learn, whether it worked or it didn't, is that when the head coach has an expertise, and Andy Avalos has an expertise, and his expertise and what he got, why he got this job is because of the work he did as a defense coordinator at Boise State and then he did at the defense coordinator at University of Oregon. And his defense right now is 119th in the country in yards allowed per game, 43.6. Yards allowed per play is 129th in the country at 6.84. And then 20 plus yards allowed plays, explosives, tied for 126th. And so what I would say to that is that Andy can use that great gift that he has as a defense coordinator. Do you fire Spencer? Gosh, no. Spencer's a ball coach, and Spencer's going to be an elite defensive coordinator. And I believe Spencer Danielson's going to be a head coach. But I think that Andy has that experience, and not only can he make those types of calls and get the trenches as a play caller, but I also think that Andy has a gift as a defensive coordinator that his team knows. But do they really know? Have they seen him as a caller of plays on defense? Have they seen him, truly in there managing the defense? And then you still have a defense coordinator that's doing a ton of the organizational piece of it, a ton of the operational side of it, managing a lot of people, setting scripts, setting practice plans. And if you look across the NFL, that's what a majority of the NFL is. Mike McDaniels is a great offensive play caller. He's now a head coach. He's still a great offensive play caller. And this is very widespread across the National Football League. And I look to the National Football League because it's the best level of football. It's the finest, most detailed level of football. And I think that this season, that's something that Andy can do. He can jump right back in there. And that's a credit to Andy. It's a credit to him as defensive coordinator. And I think that could be an unbelievable gift to this team, to this 2023 defensive unit. And you don't even have to talk about it. You don't have to come out and make a big press conference about it. You just do it behind the scenes. And those players, they'll feel his energy. They'll feel his passion. I remember on the sideline the year I was a head coach and didn't call it. I was looking around like, what do I do? I've never done this before. I've never just kind of stood here and just made a couple decisions a game, right? I love to get back in the trenches and get back into the chess match. And that's what I think Andy can do as a gift back to this program. And I think Andy would do a fantastic job at that. And so that's my mic drop.
Mic drop, Mike Sanford exclusively here on Ball Talk. Johnny Ball Game here, Mike Sanford over there. All right, Coach. I love that we address the defense, but obviously the big point of contention, the big topic.
See, look what you did, man. Look what you did.
However long it's
you just went back. You went back. Yeah, man. You went back to the quarterback deal.
I have to.
Okay, I'll do it with you.
Two quarterback systems. We got a lot of comments on this too. What are your experiences in season and any situations similarly to this where there was no competition in fall camp? You have QB1 and he's QB1 until he goes to the NFL, right? That was kind of the mindset in that building with TG10. Now all of a sudden, Mad Dog's played in most games. He's played really well. We've all seen the numbers. He's more efficient than Taylon Green statistically this season. And Andy Avalos and Bush Hamden, they roll with it. They seemed excited about it at the press conference today that they're really going to be able to accentuate the skill set of both these quarterbacks. It's going to help the offense. It's going to help the team. Apparently everybody's on board with this. And here we go, a 2-quarterback offense on the blue. Your experiences, 2-quarterback offenses, Coach.
Just like Bush answered today at the press conference, I haven't really had a true 2-quarterback system. We did it at Notre Dame in 2016 because Malik Zaire lost the starting job, not due to anything other than breaking his leg in the Virginia game. Deshaun Kaiser comes in as a sophomore, has a monster year in the absence of Malik Zaire. And Brian Kelly, rightfully so, thought, he even said to the team that you never lose a starting position due to injury, like discreetly. And so we gave the opening game was against Texas in 2016.
Texas's back game.
Yep. But they weren't. They were, but they weren't.
That was the Texas is back. And yeah, I forgot you were the OC of that team. That must have been a painful loss.
It
man.
was. And candidly, we watched that, I watched from up in the box, and, Deshaun Kaiser was playing at a phenomenal level. But then right when he got into his rhythm, all of a sudden next series, Malik Zaire comes out. And I felt like we ultimately wasted several possessions because it ended up being like 45-42 or 48-45. It was a high scoring affair, but we wasted a couple possessions because of just that indecision of quarterback play. However, I don't think every situation is the same, right? This is a different situation in the sense that, they have already really brought a 2-quarterback system dating back to the UCF game. I mean, I think the UCF situation was a kind of a must-pass situation. TG10 was on the sideline. Like, he wasn't in the injury tent, throughout the course of the fourth quarter. He wasn't. I know he had cramping earlier in the game. I know he had a little calf, and I think he rolled his ankle a little bit, but he played, after that. But when we got into a must-pass situation, that's where they put in Mad Dog, and that's a reality. And then again, here we are going into the Memphis game. I was shocked. Third series of the game, I'm like, hey, they have a nice little flow offensively going. What's going on here? Mad Dog comes in, and I looked to the sideline, when they show the camera shot, and I'm like, TG10, all right, man, everything cool? Did he catch something? I don't know. And he was fine. He was good. So I think that this is forecasting and foreshadowing, obviously, what's now a reality. And Mad Dog goes and plays great at the end of the Memphis game. I think it's a little. I think it's when people say he played well in those two situations.
Assess it. Yeah. What did you see? Quarterback coach to quarterback, quarterback to quarterback. Assess Mad Dog. I'm not just the fourth quarter, but obviously Mad Dog in Memphis.
Yeah, I personally don't like the thought that it's against prevent defense. I mean, Memphis brought 5-man hits. They brought pressure. But one thing I will say, I think Mad Dog, he reminds me of Grant, especially in that fourth quarter against Memphis. He looked like Grant, just very clean through his reads, clean through his progressions. I like the way he looked. But here's what I would say. I would say this, TG10, if I'm 2023 Mike Sanford and I'm coaching, I'm going out and getting a TG10. I'm going out and getting somebody that's unbelievably athletic, is just a crazy piece of moldable clay, has elite size, has shown the ability to make throws down the field. That's the guy I'm going out and getting. I want that guy, and I want to develop that guy because I see traits in him that remind me of Jordan Love, but I think he's even a better runner than Jordan Love was in college. But on the flip side, if I'm going to play to win this Saturday, I think that they're doing what they believe, and what I know they're doing is based off of the stuff that they see on the film. We don't see all the film. We don't see the all 22 and see opportunities where there were big explosive plays in the pass game available like the coaches do. Right. So they have the answers. Bush knows this. He has the answers. He sees what was available, maybe for a completion down the field, or maybe a third down that if you just go through your progression, if you just see this, you just see that, then we have a conversion. And I think that's why they're giving Mad Dog a chance. I don't think it's because Talon's playing poorly. He's not turning the ball over at a rapid level. I think that he's played better in the last 2 games that he had in the first 3. I was really encouraged by some of the runs that he had in the San Diego State and situational football, some of his down the field throws in both the San Diego State game, and then obviously this past game, I thought he threw some great go balls. He completed balls down the field, which everybody thought was a knock on him. I think he's answered the bell, but I think there are some things that they've seen, maybe as it relates to the progressions and seeing all 22 film of where the ball maybe could have and should have gone. And that's why I think they're going to give Mad Dog a chance to do it. Now I'm going to say this, right? It's a different ball game when you have to play 73 snaps in a game versus playing 15 to 22. And Talon is proven in Mountain West Conference play and has really led this team to be in contention to win a Mountain West title in last season. And so that's another piece of the puzzle. So listen, I totally understand where they're coming from. Do I like a two quarterback system? I don't personally have great experience with it.
So no,
I don't know, and it could very easily work. Let's just think about this, Johnny. Okay. What's the best possible outcome on Saturday? of the quarterback situation? Talk to me. What's the best possible outcome?
Well, they hammer him, and I think both move the ball well. Everybody's hugging. Taylor Green is the first person to hug Mad Dog after a teeter, and vice versa. And that's on camera. And Andy, and it's just a big kumbaya. Hey, Andy's pulling it off again. Bush is doing a job with this. They are making the 2 quarterback system work. I don't know what the roles are going to be yet. I remember, I think it was 06. It was Chris Leak and Tim Tebow. Easily defined roles by your boy Urban Meyer in that. And he absolutely made it work with a 2 quarterback system. Not only was he playing the politics of keeping Tim Tebow happy, who would go on to win the Heisman, I believe, the next year. I think Tim won it as a sophomore. So he knew that, and to get Tim Tebow ready probably to play in those big games in those giant stadiums that you've coached in. It gave him that as well. But they had defined roles. I don't know what the roles are going to be, and good for Bush and Andy for not saying that. Why would they do that? But
there's gamesmanship. You have to do it. And frankly, I don't know that they know exactly how this thing's going to play out. I really don't. And that's okay. Like, you have 4 days of planning and preparation and flow and seeing how it all goes. And I'll be honest, like the thing I would be looking for as a head coach or a coordinator, I want to see how both these guys respond. Right. I want to see how Taylor Green responds. And if Taylor responds in a championship manner, dude, that's my guy. I'll tell you that, because it's harder on him than certainly it is on Mad Dog. When I was backing up Jared Zabransky, it was a quarterback battle until Hawk didn't announce it, until the starting lineups were announced in the stadium against Idaho in the opener in the 2004 season. Dude, as the guy that didn't get the job, I would be begging for an opportunity for a 2 quarterback system or a quarterback.
Give me the third series, coach. Let me go out there and
gosh. But it's more as like, how would Jared Zabransky have responded? It's a good question. How would Ryan Dinwiddie have responded? It's a good question, right? How would Kellen Moore have responded? I don't know.
We got this package, Kellen. You're going to come out. I've heard quarterbacks saying, I think you're being a little facetious with that. They all hate it. They'll say the one thing politically with the media to make sure there's no smoke getting anywhere, but they stinking hate coming off the field. I would imagine, and you played quarterback a lot. That's your huddle. That's your team. That's your offense. You don't want somebody else going in there talking to your guys in the huddle and whatnot. It's personal, man. And I don't know how Taylor's going to handle it. I guess, how is Bush going to pull this off? This was Andy's decision, most likely, right? I want you to play them both.
No, but we don't know. Okay. We don't know.
How does Bush pull this off? How is this going to work? From what you've seen, their skills, how would you make this work? I know you don't have a ton of experience here, but talk to the viewers, man. How are they going to pull this thing off?
Back to the question I asked you earlier: what's the best outcome? The best case scenario? I think the best outcome, if you're the coordinator, if you're the head coach, if you're the quarterback coach, is that one clearly takes this football team in this game against what I think is the best 1-4 group of 5 team, maybe in the history of college. State is a team that's took SC. Gave SC all they could handle. People forget about that. And then plays Oregon State, plays the best MAC team in Toledo, and then goes and plays Air Force that right now nobody can stop and nobody can move the ball in Air Force. That's their 4 losses. Okay. So before we look at San Jose State as some crappy team, like this has to work like ASAP. And when you do the 2 quarterback system, or you kind of ruffle upset the apple cart in terms of who's the starter, is he your quarterback? Like, it's got to work. And I think both Andy and Bush knew that when they made this decision, because you're putting yourself out there. But I think they see something, and they know the room, they know the dynamics, they know the personalities, and their best case scenario is one guy emerges as like, this is my team. And we're going to find out on Saturday at 6:00 on CBS Sports Network.
All right. Yeah. I like it, man. Bumped up. I'm a big Cordero fan. I've interviewed him twice.
Baller.
He's coming on the show this week. We're working on it to get him back on Idaho Sports Talk. You're right. A tough 1-4 team. And Fresno last year was 1-4. They haven't lost since, Coach Sanford.
Yep.
Okay. I think there's politics involved with a quarterback controversy. I think there's politics involved with the 2 quarterback system. Andy and Bush, and I agreed with this 1,000%. We're just trying to win on Saturday. You know, if a parent of one of the quarterbacks is trying to contact the position coach or whatever, I mean, mom and dad want to know, and you've dealt with this. You like you said, you feel like a member of the McCaffreys. You helped Christian McCaffrey set up his Christmas tree at their house on a recruiting trip. You're putting balls on the tree and whatnot, Sanford. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're saying, yeah, hey, 2 quarterback system. Yeah, we're going in another direction. There is a growing crowd and a community of people, and I get it. You know, if Taylor Green's already gone, I don't even know if it's fixable. You know, just doing this to him, putting Mad Dog in the beginning of the second quarter on Saturday, that did it. I mean, is Taylor Green text is his dad or somebody in his camp texting, hey, we're out. We've all seen that. How do the politics come into this? What do you think is going on? And do you agree, like, as a head coach, I mean, how much would you be worried? Well, if we lose Taylor, well, what if Genty or McAllister wants to go with him? What if they feel disrespected or he was? Talk to us. How does that come in? Because I believe pretty damn well you probably had a mom or dad or two or parents over the course of your career texting you saying, WTF, Sanford, what are you doing to my kid? Why isn't he playing anymore? What's going on?
You know, it's fascinating that you bring up that whole piece of the puzzle with regards to, you know, politics of, you know, even sometimes it's like recruiting an area. Like if you do a kid wrong, if you will, as a coach, whether it be the quarterback position or running back position, or, you know, your number one receiver that gets targeted, you worry about other, you know, high school coaches in that area, or maybe a pipeline from that high school to your program. You know, the head coach is all of a sudden mad at you. So there's a lot of factors that play into it. And
absolutely,
the coach that I worked for that was an absolute mastermind at thinking all of these things through was Brian Kelly. You know, we'd have these conversations, you know, BK and myself and Mike Denbrock, who was, you know, associate head coach of offense, the play caller at Notre Dame when I was the OC. You know, we'd have these discussions about these decisions, and BK would always lay out all the possible variables of what went into this decision. And that even played out a little bit with the Deshaun Kaiser, Malik Zaire, because I was like, Deshaun Kaiser right now is our best quarterback. Like, he's the guy that gives us a chance to win the game.
Second round draft pick.
Yeah. First pick of the second round, really. And started 16 miserable games as the Browns starting quarterback as a rookie.
Had no chance.
Yeah. You know, it is what it is.
No rookie quarterback probably ever stepped into a worse situation than your boy Kaiser did on that Cleveland Browns team. That went
man, and it sucks.
Yeah,
because dude was super talented. But back to the point is that
how are these politics playing in?
But that was even before the portal, man. Like, the portal is like last year. This happened to us at CU. Coach Durrell got let go. It's actually the 1-year anniversary of when I was named interim head coach at CU. It was October 2nd, 2022. And we had already made some decisions to activate Owen McCown. Owen McCown, Josh McCown's youngest. Well, it's actually his.
No, there's another McCown.
They're everywhere, man.
Josh, there's Owen.
Yeah, Owen we started Owen as a true freshman after the fourth game of the season. And right when Coach Durrell was let go, and we had just made the decision to start Owen McCown against a play 2 weeks prior, you know, right when all that stuff went down, Brendan Lewis, who was our starting quarterback, now the starting quarterback at the University of Nevada, good, awesome young man. He jumped right in the portal. Like, we kind of knew that. Like, when we made the decision to start Owen McCown in the UCLA game as a true freshman, we knew that we were possibly going to lose Brendan Lewis. And I, you know, that's hard. Like, I love Brendan. I had a great relationship with Brendan, but we thought, what gives our team the best chance to win a game? And it was actually, you know, ended up being, you know, Josh McCown's son, Owen, in the one game that we did win last year. The one was against Cal, and he played very well. And, you know, we ended up starting 4 different quarterbacks last year at CU. 4
all scholarship kids, or any walk-ons in there?
Yeah, all were scholarship kids. Yeah,
that's good. So yeah, the future of recruiting, the politics. I mean, at this point, if you're Bush and Andy, are you just saying we just want to find who our best guy is? I mean, you're silly if you're going to say, well, hey, Taylon Green's a sophomore. Well, hey, Mad Dog's a redshirt freshman. We're going to have this 2-quarterback system for the next 2, maybe 3 years here. Like,
I don't think they're thinking that at all, man.
You
I really
can't. You
don't.
can't think
I
that.
think that what is they see things that we don't see, and that includes me. Like that includes my access right now is to the television. I'm not talking to anybody in the insides of Boise State.
Yeah.
I'm a member of the media, and I never talked to media when I was coaching. So I sure as heck don't want to put anybody on that staff in a tough position as to like, what are you guys doing, man? Like, I just don't want to be that guy, man. That's not how I'm wired. So I just look at it from the perspective that I can look at it, but they have so much more data. They have data points at everyday practice. They have the meeting room environment, just quickness of who's answering stuff at a rapid level. And I think they're doing this because they want to know who's the guy that's going to take this and be their team. And I think that happens on Saturday. Best case scenario from the coach's perspective is that Taylon responds incredibly well and he goes out and balls out. You can't take the guy off the field. Or the other next best scenario would be Mad Dog goes in there and he never gives the job back. And in this day and age, listen to me, Johnny, listen to me. Okay. You got to win now. Like not next year, now. And we all know that. If you're coaching Division I college football, and I don't care if you're at Kent State or you're at LSU or anywhere in between, you make every decision based off the data you have to put your team in a position to win now. And that's obviously what's going on. And I think we'll find out exactly what is going to play out on Saturday.
All right. Get those questions in. Right question first. We're going to get to those here in a second. But first, Coach, let's get back. Let's do our pick six. I went into this week that we just finished. I was up 12. I had 12-7. I was 12-7 on my picks. You were 9-10. You were 9-10 going into it.
How'd you do, man?
I was going in. Yeah. Would you let me?
No, I'm talking about this.
Can I host the segment
lately? What have you done for me lately?
I was about to get there, but you wanted to interrupt, and maybe I won't even go there now. Screw it.
Hey, you know what, Johnny? I think there's a lot of negative energy around the Boise airwaves. Let's be the change, man. Let's be different. You and I have some positivity. Bring some good juju, man.
I love it. All right. Well, Coach, you were 3-1. I was 1-3. And thank you, bud. And you pretty much evened me. I'm 13-10 on the year. You're 12-11 on the year. You won last week. You're up. First pick. Who you going with?
All right. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers may have fired me, may have sent my family and my
after
kids.
2 years.
Yeah,
went to a bowl game year one. Who gets the axe there? Man, you must have pissed some people off.
No, I really didn't, man. I just I didn't win enough the second year. It's really what happened. And I don't think they like this kid from Orange County, man. I am going with the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers on the road at Louisiana Tech. Small anecdote. My very last game is Western Kentucky. We had this exact game, Western Kentucky at Louisiana Tech. And we won that game. The last game I coached, it was the first ever victory in Ruston, Louisiana for the Hilltoppers. And so I left on a high note. All right. So I'm going with the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers covering -6. Lock it. The Hilltoppers are smoking hot, and La Tech they're a hot mess right now. Bad.
La Tech.
Like how are they only underdogs? Like they're bad football team.
Oh yeah. La Tech struggling. I know a lot of people on Boise are paying attention to the Hank Bachmeier situation. I'm starting off in the Mountain West. These odds, thank you, Circa. Make your bets with Circa. When you go to Vegas, stay at Circa. We're trying to get a trip down there planned, Coach. I'm going with Fresno. They are -5.5 at War Memorial Stadium in Laramie. And I know Bull Ball. I know they're tough, and this will probably be physical. And I don't think Fresno's going to handle them, but I do think they can get out of Laramie with a 6-point win or more. Give me Fresno, lay the 5 in the hook. I think they're going to cover in Laramie. I think part of what Bull's doing is smoke and mirrors. I think their record is better than what their team is. Fresno looks good right now. I got the Bulldogs -5.5.
I'm going to go to a very empty Rose Bowl stadium where the UCLA Bruins play in front of a stadium that holds 90 some odd thousand, and usually about 18,000 show up. And I like the Washington State Cougars, man. What I love about the Cougs is that chip on their shoulder just grows and grows and grows. Right. And this week, thanks to Pat McAfee and his absolutely ludicrous statement that he made about the traveling flag. Like, why do we have that stupid Washington State flag? Nobody cares about them, really, because somebody cares enough to come to every college game day, which is paying the bills for you.
Sometimes there's 50 old Crimson banners hanging back there. 50 I've counted. So hell yeah, Coach. I like where you're going with this.
I'm going Washington State. They're getting 3.5 points. I think this is an absolute lock. Still Dante freshman quarterback. Dante Moore, I believe, at UCLA.
Yep, 5-star.
Freshman quarterback, 5-star. He ain't ready for this Washington State defense, man. I don't think many teams in college football are ready for this Washington State defense, and their chip on that shoulder gets bigger and bigger every week. It's going to be massive after Pat McAfee continues to just poke the bear.
I'm really excited. All right, and speaking of the bear, my next pick, God, I like the Oregon State Beavers. I like what they saw after they rebounded after not playing very well in Pullman. Cam Ward can do that to a defense. Cal, your boy Justin Wilcox, he's not going to have the firepower or the schemes that I think they're doing at Wazoo. Oregon State comes in there -9.5, Coach. At Cal, the Beavers riding high. They're going to win this game by 10 or more points, and they're rallying in Corvallis. It's one of my favorite venues to see a game, Coach. Seen a lot of Beaver games, covered a lot of games at that stadium. I heard the renovations are just beautiful. Got to get there at some point, but this game in Cal, it'll be in front of, I don't know, 23,000, something like that. There might be a few thousand Beaver fans in there. Coach, give me the Beavs laying the 9.5 against Cal.
Strong pick, young man. I'm going to go with the team, the Michigan Wolverines. 19-point spread as visitors to Minneapolis, Minnesota.
If you added up Michigan's spreads this year so far, that'd be like 200 probably points they've had to give. I love it, man.
This is a Minnesota team that lost just 2 weeks ago, by the time game time comes around, to Northwestern. I like Michigan, and probably about 40,000 of their fans, the Wolverine faithful, are going to just go ahead and hop over to Great Lakes and just infiltrate Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I like Michigan, a statement game, really one of their first opportunities for a statement game in this young season against a Big Ten opponent that's won a lot of games in the last 5 years. So I like Michigan covering.
Michigan covering. I'm going back to the Mountain West, and maybe this is a trap. I like what Jay Norvell's doing.
Me too.
Fort Collins, and I know you're close to that situation. I like his young quarterback. He's their guy. Torrey Horton might be the best overall playmaker, not named Ashton Genty in the Mountain West. I think he makes plays. A little surprised at this. Colorado State -1.5 in Maverick Stadium, Logan, Utah. I'm just taking this because I think Colorado State is better than Utah State. I don't care if this game was played in Coach Anderson's backyard. I don't care if it's played in Bobby Wagner's backyard. Colorado State's playing better football, in my opinion, than Utah State. They've shown some things. They're scrappy. I know you've been in that program. You've coached in Maverick Stadium. You know where the bodies are buried there, Sandman. And I'm telling you, they might have to bury a couple more when my boy Jay Norvell gets done with them. Give me Colorado State -1.5 against Utah State in Maverick Stadium.
I am so excited, Johnny. I get to be a fan of my Boise State Broncos a week from Saturday here in Fort Collins, Colorado.
You know what the spread is?
No, have they already laid the spread on that one?
Oh, yeah. That's what we're picking next.
No. You got 3. No, sorry. I'm talking. You were on the CSU train. We all know who's coming up next after San Jose State. Let's not look past what we have right now, because trust me, Brent Brennan and the Spartans are going to come in with plans to do something special. But I am so excited for a chance. 7:45 kickoff in one of the more beautiful stadiums in the Mountain West, Canvas Stadium here in Fort Collins. So if you're coming, Let's hook up. If anybody who's coming, I want to say hello to you, watchers, viewers. I want to meet you. I'll be at doing pregame, postgame, the whole deal. Anne-Marie will be there with me. Maybe bring the kids past their bedtime. I'm really excited for that, man. So let's get to our next pick.
All right, I'm going with San Jose. Actually, you were supposed to pick first. It's Boise State. Coach, favored circa right now, 9.5 point favorites. BSU and the 2 quarterback shaky defense at home against who you say might be the best 1-4 team in America. Coach, where are you going with Boise State minus 9.5?
You know, did that line shift? Because I had 8.5 on circa an hour ago.
Okay, so a lot of people then are betting it down, which in the business basically means there's probably a few bucks being spent on San Jose State. So you said the spread is down to 8.5 right now on circa. Let's roll with it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't know, BJ.
Let's just play 8.5. Who you
8.5. Let's do it, my man. I have Boise State winning close, and I'm talking within 3 or 4 points. So San Jose State, I'm going to give them the 8.5. But I think this game is going to be close. I think that there will be a moment where we all understand if this is TG10's team or if this is Mad Dog Madsen's team. But I think it might take a little bit of time. I think in the meantime, Chevan Cordero and a very long group of athletic receivers that can get it vertically down the field and an offensive line and run game that has seen really good tests throughout the course of this year and all the good teams that they've played. I do think that the Blue Magic will show up. And I think that winning this game will be a lot bigger win than Boise State fan base will care to admit, because this is going to be a huge game.
I'm taking the over-under in this, so I'm kind of sidestepping the line. The over-under is 59, and I honestly think Chevan Cordero is going to have a field day with Boise State's secondary. I think he'll throw it close to 300 yards. I do like their receivers, like you're saying as well. Teams can run on the Boise State defense. If Brennan can get the running game going a little bit too, and I'm buying in offensively to this 2 quarterback system. And if one or the other is playing exceptionally well, I would expect Bush and Andy to go with the hot hand and him to stay in. I think Boise State probably wins this thing. They better, Coach. But I also think, like last week, 35-32, 37-35. I guarantee you, and you've sat in these meetings, when you have a quarterback like a Chevan Cordero, by the way, I think he's 20-something passes right now away from becoming 20 touchdown passes away from becoming the all-time touchdown passing leader in Mountain West history, okay? Whoa. Tell me when you've coached 11 NFL quarterbacks, when you guys meet in the quarterback room for the first time that week, and you are breaking down the secondary that you are going to see the next week, and you're throwing all these stats at your quarterbacks. Yeah, they're 118th in scoring. They give up 312 total yards a game, completion percentage. You're getting all these guys knowing. You're telling your guys like Jordan Love, hey, things are going to be open. We can take shots on this team, and don't you worry, we will take shots on this team. I got, again, the over, but quickly, I wanted your thoughts on what do you think the San Jose State quarterback room with the OC and the quarterback coach, what are they talking about this week in regards to Boise State's defense?
I think a lot of times they're just looking at formations, like what formations in their schemes, their pass schemes, present problems for Boise State's defense. I think that's pretty consistent. I don't think if you're looking at just the stats and like, we're going to throw the ball all over these guys. A lot of times you go in with just the wrong mindset. You kind of go in with the mindset like everything's going to be open. I think you need to go in with the mindset like these are the looks that we need to study. These are the formations that we find like there's some issues defensively. And then the other thing is you got to go find who the weak links are in coverage. Who are the
pick
corners?
On kids? Absolutely. You pick on them.
Betcha.
You love it. You pick on the hell out of them.
Love it. And I usually give them a nickname throughout the course of the week, and they kind of get to know the nickname, and then they get out there on game day, they throw a touchdown right over his head, and they come over a little phone, like, hey coach, I got after Scooby-Doo over there, huh, coach?
Yeah. You were right, coach. You called the Sluggo seam on Scooby-Doo, and it worked to perfection.
Yeah,
that's a Sanford special.
Hey, Linus is still carrying around his blanket as he's trailing into the end zone behind EMAC.
All right, those are our picks this week. Let's get into some mailbag. Get them going. Questions. Start it with question, and we'll read a couple. Coach, you can do this too. I'm going to start off with Jay Biggs, though, and ask, what are some scheme changes you would make offensively? Not critiquing Bush, just want your thoughts on some things that we can exploit, or some things that can exploit the athletes that we currently have. Coach, what would you do with this offense?
Well, I think it's been good. 519 yards of offense a week ago. The one thing is I see a very unique skill set that Taylor Green does have, and that's to get really physical in the run game. And I'm not talking about just zone read with an escort, right? That's the old Kaepernick scheme, zone read. And then if that guy, at the end crashes down, then obviously you have an escort coming from the opposite side as to help fit off the safety. I'm talking about Q counter, Q power. And I know you say, Johnny, that you're not too big on that. How many college football games do you watch with really, really important starting quarterbacks running these schemes? Tons. Like I watched Cade Klubnik's running it at Clemson. I watch Riley Leonard running it against Notre Dame, like the biggest, most physical group of defensive linemen and linebackers in the country. Granted, he did get hurt, but did he get hurt on running Q power or Q counter? No, he did not. He got hurt on a drop back pass play that got sideways. I think when the quarterback has the ability to be a between the tackles runner or just slightly off tackle, I think Taylon's a guy that can get a lot of yards in that. And I like it that you get Taylon downhill now. That's one thing that I've seen from his skill set. And let's just call a spade a spade. This is his opportunity to go take hold of this job and be the guy. And that's something that I know will delineate him from Mad Dog Madsen, is his ability to not just run zone read, not just take off in the scramble game, not just run nakeds and bootlegs with, but really utilize his length, his athleticism, his stride length to be able to run some of those type of power schemes with Taylor Green. The other one I'd say too is just we're a big receiving core. Like EMAC is long, he's athletic. Prince Strawn is long and athletic. So there's been a lot of down the field go ball opportunities. The thing that I would love to see, and I was excited seeing Billy Bones do what he did down the stretch. Stephon Cobbs. Like I want to see some of the speed guys catch the ball in space across the middle, whether it be seam balls, whether it be, climb routes over the top. I want to see somebody take a ball in stride and go crib it. And I think that's an area of the field that we got to continue to exploit with our speed, is that kind of that middle third of the field between the hashes.
All right. Going through some of these questions there. Here's your thoughts on the quarterback, the 2 quarterback system, that type of thing. How about, simple question, from what you've seen, who'd you start? Are you going to pass on that? You're not privy to a lot of the information, Coach, that would typically go into this decision. I can almost give you a pass on this.
I'm starting Taylor. I'm starting TG10, at least in this situation. We have to deal with reality, and both of them are going to play. This is TG10's team. He's the poster boy. He's on all the marketing materials. He's played his best 2 games in the last 2 games. You give him the opportunity and you go play to his strengths, and you hope that TG10 responds in a manner where he takes this thing, and we're all freaking fired up on next Monday's Ball Talk talking about TG10. And I believe in this dude, man. I do.
We're going to leave it at that. That's why you listen to Ball Talk. That's why you watch us on Mondays with Sanford and Johnny. A record viewership today. I know people wanted your opinions before we do end this show. Coach, you got, 60, 120 seconds if you want it. People are asking a lot of questions. They want to know about this offense. They want to know about this defense. Coach, I'm going to give you the floor one more time. Some parting words until Saturday night, 6 p.m. Coach, what you got?
I got a new season. No, I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's what Andy's talking about, both in the media. None of us want to hear it, immediately after a loss, but this is a new season in the sense that we are solely focused on Mountain West Conference play. And we're in first place after winning a road game against the San Diego State team that has been at the top of the Mountain West food chain for the last 5-6 years, or at least in the conversation. So we have that under our belt. We have San Jose State coming into town this weekend. And I think that we need to do whatever this team, this 2023 team needs to do to be 1-0 each and every week. Coach speak, yes. Reality, heck yes. That is reality, because we go and beat San Jose State this coming week. It's going to be a challenge. Then all of a sudden you're truly in first place in the conference. And to win a conference championship after this start, after all the stuff that's happened, and for us to get some clarity on Saturday about who's the quarterback that's our guy to go lead us to a Mountain West championship, because it's in our grips. And we'll find out on Saturday. And for that reason, get your butt to Albertson Stadium. Get there, because it's going to be a heck of a ball game. You're going to see one of the best quarterbacks in Mountain West Conference history in Chevin Cordero, and a really good team that's coached by one of my good buddies, Brent Brennan. I think one of the best young coaches, even though he's a little older than me, but
he's
one of the
smart,
best
man.
coaches.
Yeah.
He's awesome, man. He's a fantastic recruiter. He's a great culture builder. He knows receiver play inside and out. He's coordinated. Big fan of his. But this is a great opportunity to get out to Albertson Stadium and support these kids, support these young men, because they're laying it out there. There is not a culture problem with this team. There isn't. There's no culture problem. I haven't seen any cultural issues when I watch body language on the sideline. These kids deserve. And if we have the same mindset of 1 week at a time, we can evaluate it after each and every week. That's perfectly legal. We're fans. But show up and love these kids and be loud and get that place rocking.
New LED show. Have you coached in stadiums that got that new LED system?
Yeah.
They turn the lights off. That's pretty badass. Huh?
Yeah, it scared the heck out of me the first time, man. I was like, man, I think we're under attack. This is unbelievable.
Were you in the box or the sidelines?
I was on the sideline, and Middle Tennessee State of all places had it. And I'm like, oh man, it was appreciation night, and I'm like, that's all. Like, I thought there were like laser beams pointed at me. It was nuts. So, hey, how are the Seahawks doing, man?
We're gonna win. We're gonna go to 3-1 and undefeated in that stadium. I think now 5-0.
The clink, baby.
Coach, I'm gonna get back to the game. Everybody watching this, share it. Comment. We're doing it every single Monday. Season 1. This was episode 8. Next week, episode 9 after the San Jose State game and this 2 quarterback system. Coach, appreciate you, man.
Hey, go Broncos. Looking forward to a great game.
Support these businesses. We'll catch you next week.
All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just 1 day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. CUI more than 500,000 members love ICCU, and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com.